Okay, in this video, I will be going into the hidden history of the African melanated race. I will be dismantling white supremacy in its totality, showing how the black race's history have been whitewashed. As you see, blackout through whitewash. Now, in a previous video I made, couple videos, I stated that the black people occupied every continent on this globe. We are the original inhabitants of this entire globe. Now, as we go into this book, the African origins of European civilization, what we see here in the highlighted format. In 1787, the distinguished French scholar Count C. Volney wrote in amazement, This race of black men is the very race to which we owe our arts, our sciences, and even our use of speech. Later he wrote Ruins of Empires, a book which so delighted scholars of the day that it was translated into English with a special edition for the racist Americans. How you like that shit? In which the following quotation was left out. There are a people now forgotten, discovered, while others were yet barbarians, the elements of the arts and sciences, a race of men rejected now for their black skin and woolly hair, founded on the study of the laws of nature, those civilized and religious systems which still govern the universe. Now y'all see that it was the black people, all right, and we're going to find out later that are of Ethiopian descent, that taught other races. And even while some of them, we was advanced studying, where is that? Arts and sciences. Okay, while they was yet barbarians, other races. Okay, you see that? So moving on, in the scholarly classic Anacaleptus, Godfrey Higgin writes, I shall, in the course of this work, produce a number of extraordinary facts, which will be quite sufficient to prove that a black race in very early times had more influence over the affairs of the world than has been lately suspected, and the influence have not entirely passed away. Now that's a book everybody should read. Black people, you need to read that. Anacaleptus. Because Godfrey Higgins, he don't hold no punches as far as telling it like it is. He tells you like how the original Buddha was a black man and all that. Alright, he going into all that stuff. He bring it to the light. So it's some European scholars that told the truth as it was. Like Gerald Massey, Godfrey Higgins, Count C. Volney, I think even Albert Churchward. So you have some scholars that's of European descent that told it like it was. But anyway, moving on. So here we have, as shown in chapter 2, Kemet, or Egyptian civilization, originated from Ethiopia. Diodorus said the Ethiopians were the earliest of civilized men, and that they colonized Egypt under the leadership of Osiris. The Egyptians diffused Ethiopian culture throughout the world. Oh, I remember reading also, I'm going to stop right there for a second. I got to say this. Because I remember reading in Anacaleptus, it said that there were two Ethiopias. There were two different Ethiopians. It said that there was a Ethiopian that lived in India, he just had straight hair, and there was also an Ethiopian that lived in what we know today as Africa. They just had kinky hair, but they still were Ethiopian. So the original, not the Dravidians, but the original Ethiopians the original people of India are of Ethiopia. They're Ethiopians. Okay, according to Anacollectus by Godfrey Higgins. Okay, anyway, moving on. The Egyptians diffused. Why I just said that? Okay, in another classic, The Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man, Albert Churchward wrote, "Thus we can see that African colonies went forth and settled in all parts of the world, leaving the proofs of language, myth, and the hieroglyphs, and religious rites, the symbolical customs and ceremonies in far-off lands are still extant among races by whom they are no longer read or understood, but which can be read in Egypt." Scottish anthropologist General J. Forlong admits it was undoubtedly Cushites, Ethiopians, who rendered possible the Aryan advance and who played the part of civilizing Rome thousands of years before Rome's birth. It was their tales, myths, traditions, and histories that lay at the base of the Western world's thought and legacy lore. All right. Now I'm here to tell it that the Greeks didn't invent shit. Not the Baphomet, none of that. Okay? Of course, they added their own flavor to what they stole from us. And George G.M. James tells it. He tells it damn near better than anybody else can tell it in his book, Stolen Legacy. So, I said this once and I'm going to say it again. The Europeans didn't have shit but what we gave them. They just remixed it. They added their homosexuality shit to it. Their Greek culture. Because we damn sure didn't give them that. They added that shit in there. Okay, they added their flavor to it just like all other cultures added their flavor to what we taught them. As you're going to see as I continue. But anyway, I'm going to read what George Ian James said. All right. The massive Greek plagiarism of Egyptian science, philosophy, and religion is well documented by George James in Stolen Legacy. Egypt was the greatest educational center in the ancient world. Black Africans educated the Greeks. Black Egyptian priests and priestesses taught the best minds of Europe. Plato, Thales, Aristotle, Democritus, Anaximander. I don't even know if I'm saying them shits right, but I'm trying. Solon, read on y'all, because I can't really say these words. These some Greek words, something. And others. Actually, like I said, Greek is an African language too, believe it or not. Okay, the original Greeks were the Etruscans. They taught them that shit, and they are direct descendants of the Egyptians. Alright, anyway, moving on. A surviving sculpture of Socrates shows that he was an African. I want to see that damn sculpture. I don't see no sculpture nowhere. Okay, but anyway, moving on. I'm going to have to Google that sculpture. I got to see that sculpture. As was Aesop of Aesop's Fables. And historians wrote that such great lawgivers as Lycurgus studied in Egypt and brought back the legal and political basis for the West's politics. In the introduction of Stolen Legacy, George James wrote, after nearly 5,000 years of prohibition against the Greeks, they were permitted to enter Egypt for the purpose of their education. First, through the Persian invasion, and secondly, through the invasion of Alexander the so-called great, and when shit great about somebody that was murdering and taking shit from somebody else. But anyway, from the 6th century BC, therefore the death of Aristotle in 322 BC, the Greeks made the best of their chance to learn all they could about Egyptian culture. Most students received information directly from the Egyptian priests. But after the invasion by Alexander the so-called Great, because the nigga wasn't great at all, fuck him, may he rot and shit, the royal temples and libraries were plundered and pillaged, and Aristotle's school converted the library at Alexandria into a research center. There is no wonder then that the production of the unusually large number of books ascribed to Aristotle has proved a physical impossibility for any single man within a lifetime. It was African cosmology, called the Kemet Mysteries, which is the source and foundation of all the religious teachings, philosophies throughout the world. A comprehensive book on this subject is Albert Churchward's The Signs and Symbols of Premortal Man, with the subtitle The Evolution of the Religious Doctrines of the Eschatology of the Ancient Egyptians. Y'all heard that? Let me go. I don't think y'all heard it. Let me read that shit again. Because Count Volney said the same thing that... Let me show you what I'm talking about. Then I'm jump right back. See? Count Volney wrote in amazement, this race of black men is the very race to which we owe our arts and sciences and even the use of speech. Now get y'all ass out of here. Because I know goddamn well y'all ain't come out no damn caves speaking no goddamn Greek language. Anyway, let me bounce back. I just had to prove that point. Then you got George G.M. James, okay, coming to back up what Count Volney said. It was African cosmology, called the Kemet Mysteries, which is the source and foundation of all the religious teachings, philosophies throughout the world. Okay? See, Egypt was the greatest educational center in the ancient world. Black Africans educated the Greeks. Shit. Okay. Alright, let me show you what I mean. See, so-called Greek and Roman gods were copies of African gods. The earliest Greek and Roman gods were all black, including the Trojan heroes. Europe loved and worshipped the black African gods, before later whitening them up as she developed racism. See, now we know, if y'all just Google images of the Pope kissing the feet, bowing to the Black Madonna, the Pope knows this. The early Greek, Roman gods and goddesses such as Athena, Zeus, etc. were all black, being copies of the black African deities. And the Camp Doglio at Rome, the goddesses Venus, Isis, Hecate, Juno, Metis, I don't even know how to say that shit, Ceres, Cybele, were black. Greek historian Herodotus himself wrote that almost all the names of gods came into Greece from Egypt. Alright? Set, Asa, Ash, the great goddesses, was the principal goddess of Africa and the entire ancient world, renowned as Isis. She was worshipped throughout ancient Greece, Rome, and Europe. From Alexandria to Britain, she is still worshipped today as Virgin Mary and the Black Madonnas of Europe. I just mentioned that shit. Man, damn, these words here. Y'all got to read some of this. Aeneid, like the Iliad, Odyssey, and all the other great epics of the world, is a poetic story dealing with black people. Aeneas, the Trojan hero of Virgil's Aeneid, was in direct descendant from Dordanus, the African founder of Troy. Helen Belowski informs us, Herodotus acknowledged that the Greeks learned all they knew, including the sacred services of the temple, from the Egyptians. And because of that, their principal temples were consecrated to Egyptian divinities. In Europe, Egyptian divinities were corrupted with Greek and Asiatic names and mythologies and reduced to vague pantheistic personalities, so that Isis and Osiris had retained very little of their Egyptian origin. Consequently, they failed to advance Egyptian philosophy. Now, as y'all can see right here, you'll see the African deities, and then you'll see the Greek, the copies, and then you'll see the Roman copy. But you see the original African deities, and here you have the descriptions and the aspects. So what you have here is plagiarism. And not just plagiarism, you also have the teachers of the Greek and the Romans. And you see where they got it from. See, Set was first. It was first Set, then the Greeks called her Isis. Even the Romans called her Isis. It was Hathor in the African world. They changed it to Aphrodite. Maybe that's where the word Aphrodite, I don't know, shit, aphrodisiac come from. And then the Romans call it Venus. So anyway, moving on. Now here we have Africans originated the world's first known universities. Africans gave us math, algebra, geometry, and trigonometry, including the so-called Arabic and Roman numbers. Oh yeah, we got to read this shit. The falsely credited Pythagoras and Isolate acquired their knowledge from Egyptian sacred mystery schools. The Ethiopians and Egyptians, which are the same people, shit, originated mathematics and trigonometry. The African Moors originated algebra and developed trigonometry into a science. The word algebra is from algebra, while al-Mujabla, the title of the first textbook on the subject, which is further derived from Elagabara, the name of the keeper of wisdom of the African Alpha tradition. From the name of its black author, Al-Khwarizmi, we get the word algorithm, a math procedure. The Arabic numbers we use are from the original ancient Arab people who were originally black Africans like the Jews. And many of them still are. The Cushites or Ethiopians were the original Arabians. You heard? We was everywhere. For Arabia was the oldest Ethiopian colony. Ain't that some shit? Ancient literature assigns that first settlement to the extreme southwestern point of the peninsula. The pyramids themselves attest to the mathematical genius of the ancient Africans. Helen Balowski writes, the proof that they were proficient in mathematical sciences lies in the fact that those ancient mathematicians whom we honor as the fathers of geometry went to Egypt to be instructed. Before Greece came into existence, the arts with the Egyptians were ripe and old, land measuring and the art resting on geometry. The Egyptians certainly knew well, as according to the Bible. And so-called Roman numerals are not Roman but African stylizations of Kemet's hieroglyphics. Let me stop right quick, because this is why they don't teach none of this shit in schools. All they teach African melanated beings in school is slavery shit. Okay, and then they don't teach you what black people even invented, even doing slavery. But they will not teach black people beyond the shores of slavery. And the reason why is because of white supremacy. If they were to teach you your history, white supremacy would be destroyed. And this would, because, they got a goddamn ego complex, Europeans. This is what it is. Otherwise, they would tell the fucking truth. Okay? And I'm reading the truth. So, this is what it is. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. How they hide shit. We talking about it right now, but let me show you some more. Look at that. The world is ran by African inventors. Just look at this. Airplanes. Blacks in ancient Africa and India. Ancient Egypt. A model plane made of wood deemed capable of flight by NASA. Look at that. Astronautic engineers. India's ancient literature describing flying machines in great detail and how to operate them. See that? Helicopter. A black man, Paul E. Williamson. Look at this shit. Automatic transmission. R.B. Spice, 1932. His mechanism allowed the automatic shifting of gears forward and backwards in a car's transmission. Look at that, the battery. Electrolyte. Granville T. Woods, 1888. The battery were such a major improvement. Look at this shit. I'm going to just let y'all see it. Refrigerator, J. Standard, 1891. Heating furnace, Alice Parker, 1919. The bicycle, 1888. All these are black people. Black inventors now. The guitar, see it? Boomerang, bow and arrow, by the twice, over 400,000 years ago. You see this? The cattle industry, cellular phone. Shit, 1971, the cellular phone was made by a black man. Henry T. Sampson. Chemistry, coming from the word chem. Black, study of black. Okay, chemistry, black magic. The original black magic is chemistry. Okay, computer. Yeah, I'm going over. I gotta let y'all see all this shit, because they have hidden our history from us, because it would totally destroy white supremacy. And I'm aiming to crush white supremacy. I want to restore balance and order. So this is why I must bring this to the forefront. Fuck them lies. White supremacy is a lie, because this is the truth that I'm showing. Look at that. Fire extinguisher. Black man. T.J. Marshall. 1872. See that? Look at that. Even the guns. The African Moors of Spain introduced the first shooting mechanisms or rifles known as fire sticks. Healing arts and sciences all throughout Egypt. Look at that. Hospitals. Imhotep temples were the first hospitals known to man. As an ancient, that was in Egypt. Languages. We just read about the languages by Count Volney. He said that. That was a French European. Look at that. The light, the electric. See that? The electricity. Thomas Edison didn't make shit. Let me show you something. See that? We already had the light bulbs. That was in Egypt. Okay? These were hieroglyphs. These are hieroglyphs. Okay, of Egyptians showing the damn light bulb. See it? See the coils? Powering it up. You even got a wire going to it to generate electricity throughout the bulb. So, Thomas Edison, he ain't invent shit. Electric lighting in ancient Egypt. Electricity was used by the Egyptians as evidenced by electropowered gold objects. Electrical lighting reported being used in the temples. And the use of the Djed column as an electrical generator. Y'all get the point? We've been doing this shit. The ancient Africans used electricity. But they hide all this from us. And then they steal our inventions and put their name on the shit. White supremacy. That shit must be destroyed in order to restore balance. Alright, showing the rest of these inventions. Look at that. Mathematics, sciences, algebra. Africans gave us that. We just read that anyway about Count Fallacy and all that shit. George M. James talked about it. Paper bag. That was us. Our ancestors. So if you're living in a melanated body, it's a wonderful thing when you know your history. You know. But we know that the ego is the enemy. So we don't let the ego get the best of us. We don't let pride get the best of us. We just acknowledge it and we understand who we are and what we are. And we understand the greatness within our gene pool that has been dormant for a long ass time. But don't worry, because the Aquarian constellation and through meditation of raising the electrical current, we can get all these creative geniuses back. And these genes ain't nothing but daemons, because the word Damien, the word demon comes from the word Damien, which means one's own personal genius. Gene. The genes that are in you that are dormant. Okay? So when you read the Goetians, it tells you the power and the formation of these daemons, what they're capable of. They bring forth knowledge and all types of other fascinating things. But anyway, y'all get the point of what I'm showing. The toilet, look at that. Traffic light, elevator. Okay, anyway, moving forward. Let's look at the greatness of the African melanated being. Africans gave us alphabet, a stylization of Egypt's hieroglyphics. Alright, but I want to go into this. Africans gave us the art and science of medicine and herbs. See, the real father of medicine was African multi-genius Imhotep of ancient Egypt. Not Hippocrates. How the hell you say this damn name? Hippocrates, who lived 2,000 years later. Imhotep brought the knowledge of medicine to Greece and Rome. He was a world-famous physician, architect, high priest, diplomat, economist, poet, philosopher, sage, magician, astronomer, engineer, and designer of the step pyramid of Saqqara. For him to have all these special abilities, now I'm just adding in here, I ain't reading right now. For him to have all these special abilities, these are the same abilities that a functional pineal gland and a activated Kundalini Uraeus electrical current does to a person. When you raise your electrical current, these are the abilities that you possess depending on I guess the state in which a person is. Because for some people, when you raise the electrical current, you become clairvoyant, you become telepathic. Some people have telekinesis. Some people become very good at poetry, philosophy, and stuff like that. So these were his attributes to raising the electrical current. It's just based off other stuff that I read concerning these abilities. But anyway, moving on. He was so revered that he was deified while still living and worshipped as the great god of medicine. The Greeks renamed him Asclepius, the god of healing. So when you read, let me stop right quick. I got to add in. So when you read the Hermetica by Walter Scott, and it mentions Asclepius, it's talking about Imhotep. Okay? But anyway, eat, drink, and be merry is traced to him. The symbol of the medical profession, the caduceus, a winged staff intertwined. Look at that. Actually, I got to say something. Let me see what it say first, though. By the two serpents was the insignia found on his temples. Imhotep's temple, in fact, were the first hospital known to man. But let me say something about this, what they call it, caduceus. That was brought forth by Thoth the Atlantean, or Tahuti, the god of wisdom, aka Enoch. Okay? It was passed on down. Because actually the knowledge was taught by Enoch. He was the ones that taught the Egyptians, according to shit I read. Okay? That's according to the Eminem tablets, which they found in Egypt to be carbon dated 36,000 years old. So anyway, stolen from Africa, I'm reading on. Stolen from Africa, his many volumes are at Karl Marx University in Leipzig, Germany. Ain't that some shit? They got shit in Germany that they done stole from our ancestors. Those that live in the melanated body. Ain't that some shit? Okay, from Egypt we have the earliest medical books, the first observations in anatomy, human in comparative, the first experiments in surgery and pharmacy, the first use of splints, bandages, compresses, and other appliances, and the first anatomical and medical vocabulary, and that an extensive one, as documented by Dr. Layla O. Africa and African Holistic Health. European medicine is founded upon the African healing sciences, particularly the works of Imhotep and the black Muslims at Abyssinia and Razis. You see, the Europeans didn't have shit. If it was not for the